Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Holderhek channel. Today we're going to go over the current PvP system in Classic WoW and whether or not it's actually useful for you as a shaman to rank up in PvP. We're going to be going over the blue set for rank 10 and the epic set for rank 13, including the rank 14 weapons. This is part 1 of the guide covering enhancement. I'm going to do a part 2 covering elemental. There will be no part 3 because if you're a restoration shaman, no, you should not rank up in the PvP system. You don't need to. You get all your gear from raids. And that's great news for you because the PvP system is being dominated by AFKers, botters, and people who should be chemically castrated and banned for 6 months. But let's not get into that. Let's get into the guide. So the first thing we're gonna do is go over your rank 10 blue PvP set, okay? And before we get into that, I just want to say all the off pieces you see here, they're not going to change as we compare stuff. So later on down the line, I'm going to be showing off gear from later phases. You would be able to replace your rings and trinkets and other things, but that's not going to change. Because if we change that, it doesn't compare the same gear. So this neck, cloak, bracers, belt, rings, trinkets, all those are going to stay exactly the same. The weapon is also going to stay exactly the same, except for when we talk about the High Warlord gear, because if you're going to get rank 14, you're going to get a better weapon, so that's a better comparison, right? So let's go over your blue PvP set. You're going to enchant everything with health, because that's what you do in PvP, minor speed. What you're going to end up with is an absolute ridiculous amount of health and a very sizable mana pool. That's what this PvP set is actually good at doing. It also buffs your spell damage and spell crit by, we'll say, a decent margin. But this is by no means really an elemental set. It is an enhancement set that focuses on stamina, mana, and throws spell power in there for some reason, okay? Now, let's compare this set to the PvP set I currently wear, okay? Well, it's not exactly what I currently wear. This would be like PvP BIS with absolutely no rank in PvP. So, you see all the off items stay exactly the same, but we have Crown of Destruction, Death's Clutch, Savage Gladiator, etc. You can see what's on the list. Now, let's compare this to that blue PvP set. You would end up gaining 231 health and 435 mana. That's good. What you end up losing, though, is 6% melee crit and 16 attack power. You would gain 49 spell damage and healing and 4.49% spell crit if you wore the blue set. Now, what this tells me is that the blue PvP set for an enhancement shaman is really not worth it, okay? You end up with a little bit more health and a little bit more mana, and this spell damage is like situationally nice for fighting rogues and warriors, perhaps. But the loss of that much crit, and I mean, the attack power is negligible, but losing 6% crit, that's just not worth it for me. Especially considering just how hard it is currently to get rank 10. Like, with people pulling 700,000 plus honor a week, and that's just on the lower brackets, that's like 7, 8, 9 rank. Trying to get to rank 10, those guys are pulling over 1 million honor a week. Like, you're just not going to be able to do that with any sort of other life commitments. So I would say most definitely the blue set, if you are going to stop at rank 10, is not worth it for enhance. Now we're going to talk about the epic PvP set. Let's say PvP is your entire goal, and what you're going to do with PvP is you're going to take it all the way. You're going to go to High Warlord. Then I would say you're looking at a different scenario. So everything else of the off pieces stays the same. Now you have 5,450 health and 4,550 mana. That is absurd. That is so much health and mana. You also end up with 81 spell power, 6.5 spell crit. Your melee attack power and your crit chance is still very low. That crit chance is exceedingly low. You could change that by putting on Blackhand's Breath and perhaps gearing for more crit. The gear itself gives you almost no crit chance. Melee, okay? If you were to compare the epic set to the blue set that I was showing you earlier that has no PvP gear, like you lose like 1,000 health and 1,000 mana, yeah, you end up getting that crit again, but I feel like, yes, the epic set is very good for PvP. If you plan on taking PvP to its maximum, right? You plan on taking it to the end, to rank 14, it's worth it. Maybe even rank 13 just for the armor. Now, let's say you like PvP, but you don't have the ability to dedicate that much time. If you're willing to wait until Phase 5, now again, I'd like to say these off pieces would also change, right? But just to keep the statistics in line with the gear we're comparing, this ends up being highly comparable to the PvP set. Now, if we compare this to the epic set, you're now only gaining about 662 health, 405 mana, but you're losing 42 attack power, 4 melee crit, and the spell damage more or less evens out. You get a little bit more spell crit. So by the time you go into Phase 5, you can create a PvP set that is on par with the High Warlord set. And you can get weapons that are on par with, if not better, than the High Warlord weapons. The issue is, by Phase 5, everyone's gonna have that gear. So it's not gonna be quite as an overpowered experience as running around with 5,500 unbuffed health would be now, but you can get there. So, my final verdict for all of these sets would definitely be, if you're not able to PvP right now, if you're not able to PvP 25 hours a day, you'll be fine. You'll do more damage than somebody who is in the full PvP gear. Unfortunately, you're gonna have about half as much health as them. So if that is a bargain you're willing to make, then, well, you're gonna have to make it, because most of us are never gonna see this gear. That concludes this guide, this day, this week. Thank you for joining me. If you do like what I do here, toss me a subscribe and hit that bell. If you really like what I do, go over to Twitch, hit me up with a follow there. Use your Amazon Prime subscription to help me get more $5 footlongs. That is my ultimate goal in life. And I just want to put a special thank you out there for everybody who's listened to my last couple of videos. I've been using this travel mic as I've been gone for the holidays, and it's really not great. So thank you for putting up with that. I'll be back to my normal streaming schedule and my usual equipment in early January. Until then, guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a fantastical rest of your day. Bye-bye.